We have Mary Johnson with Wavelength Electronics, and they are a lead supplier of electronics for the laser industry. We have Dana Cuccia with HealthGuard Systems, and they provide handheld near-infrared spectrometers for the allergy detection market. Then Sarah Lukes provides high-resolution and ultra-high focus lenses and optics for the measurement industry. And Lisa Wood with Analog Physics, they are taking a quantum approach to AI, specifically for healthcare and military applications, but I'm sure they have great applications coming in the future. So we'll go ahead and get started, but yeah, if you each, I guess I'll start with that you can give a little bit background about your businesses or your personal experience, but what is a personal experience that you've had in the field that you weren't expecting? Mary, do you want to start?
Okay, we'll see if this works. Look at that. All right. My name's Mary Johnson, and I've been CEO at Wavelength Electronics for longer than I'd like to admit. We founded in 1993, so think there was no internet when I started the business. Okay, so we've seen quite a few changes that have shocked me over the years. And I graduated from Montana State University with an electrical engineering degree, but one of my last classes was with Dr. Rufus Cohn, and it was about lasers. And oh my gosh, I just started getting very excited about lasers, and I knew I wanted to go into that field. My first job out of college was doing light scatter measurements, and so I got to learn how to build laser systems, how to build electronics that were low noise, how to make sure that you could sense what you were trying to do and actually make the sensor do what you wanted it to do. So then we decided that it was time to offer a change to the laser industry. There were a ton of instruments out there, so people could do all the research they wanted, but then they had to invent the electronics themselves if they wanted to go to market. So our intent was to basically simplify it, give them little OEM black boxes that they could design into their systems, and so they could go to market faster, they could go to market with better quality electronics that accomplished what they needed. And we've been doing that ever since. So yeah, I think probably the biggest surprise was that things don't stay the same. It's constantly adaptation and learning. I think I've reinvented my skill set every 5 years or so. You know, it's like I am not the same person I was when we founded in 1993.
Wouldn't it be great if there wasn't change? And, you know, because I feel like you learn a skill and then you get good at it, and then everything around you changes and you have to start from ground zero, but adversity is good.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think it would be boring otherwise.
Yeah. Dana.
My name is Dana Cuccia, CEO and co-founder of HealthGuard Systems. We were founded actually last year, so it's still really early stages. I'm really excited to be here. Little foundation for how the business started. I was diagnosed with celiac disease in 2023. And that was a bit of a shock in trying to re-navigate the culinary world. I realized there wasn't really any solutions when I'm dining out, when I'm traveling, for ensuring that there wasn't any cross-contamination. And then actually in a business class last year at the University of Montana, everyone in the class had to submit an idea to the John Ruffato Startup Challenge. And so I thought it would be great to have a handheld gluten detector for when I'm traveling, so that way I can ensure I'm not getting cross-contamination, and it ended up getting a lot of traction. We won some funding from that award. We received the, do you remember what the award was?
Best Health Tech.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Don't sell yourself short.
Best Health Tech Award, and it really has snowballed from there, and I'm super excited to be here and have a product that could change a lot of lives. And the most exciting thing, I think, would have been the John Ruffato's Challenge. It was really exciting because it was all of my classmates, my peers, and we were all working together. Everyone was helping on our ideas with our pitches, and it was just a really crazy experience. And so I'm here to kind of gain a little bit more of that.
One of the things I love about startups specifically is when the founder has a personal touch or a personal connection to the problem that they're trying to solve, I think HealthGuard is definitely, is a great example of that type of company. And so not that we're excited that you have celiac disease by any means, but the way you're able to empathize, I guess, with your customer in that market is a key competitive advantage for that. Sarah.
Hello, I'm Sarah Lukes. I'm the founder of Agile Focus Designs, and we were founded in 2015. And basically at the time, we have this technology that provides optical focus in Zoom that's high resolution, but it's digitally controlled. And that allows for machine learning and AI implementation. And it really can reduce power usage for vision systems for inspection of manufactured goods in healthcare and other areas. And I was watching this technology kind of as it was really getting to a good place of development, being implemented at Stanford and all the top universities. Like, why hasn't this become widespread? And I think a lot of it was, it required a lot of engineers to implement. So our company really wants it to be user-friendly and easy for anyone, any technician to use it. And I guess one thing that's exciting to me, a lot of people are going into mechanical engineering now, fewer people are going into electrical engineering, even though that's more needed in our current world, I believe. And one of the cool things, if you do things that other people aren't willing to do, the hard work to get the engineering degree, and I was only the second person at Montana State to get the PhD in electrical engineering as a woman, is it opens up really cool, fun doors. Like, I've watched surgeries at the Mayo Clinic, and I've gotten to travel to different countries like Armenia and hike gorgeous mountains with people from all over the world and share a meal and dance with people at a big dance party on this beautiful, gorgeous mountain in the middle of nowhere. So that's kind of why I love it. And I love the fact that it changes all the time because I get bored easily. So that's one thing I love about having my own business. Oh, we don't have to.
Don't let Sarah's quiet demeanor fool you. She's very adventurous, yeah. Lisa.
So I am CEO of Analog Physics, and we have what we call quantum general intelligence. It's really quantum artificial intelligence that is industry agnostically applied. We're starting in healthcare, moving into DoD, logistics, supply chain, all kinds of applications can benefit. And what it delivers is accuracy and scalability through using quantum NISQ processors, and we're able to do that. The big thing is quantum error correction right now to make quantum computing scalable. And what we do is quantum error prevention, and that's a proactive approach where you don't have to put a Band-Aid on or deal with it after it's occurred. You prevent it from occurring to begin with somewhat of a protective bubble. And that surprised me because the end of last year we ended up getting a top quantum computing startup recognized for being that, just for that little bit. But it's not little. The point is we also have this AI that orchestrates all the top LLMs and it eliminates bias and hallucinations. So if you're all using I heard them talk about Claude in the previous panel, and ChatGPT and all the others, DeepSeek. If you're sick and tired of the bias and the hallucinations, you can use our technology and it will get rid of that for you. So lots of surprises that have happened for us over the past few months, and we're looking forward to diving deeper into all kinds of industries and solving all kinds of problems.
I know last time they asked what hallucinations are, just briefly. It's because people don't know what that is sometimes.
Oh, it's effectively when there's like a plausibility of something happening and there's not enough information and data. It fills in the holes, I guess.
If any of you listened to Voices of Montana this morning, I was on talking about Montana and the frontier with AI and quantum and photonics, and that is something I specifically called out about the dangers of AI is hallucinations. And I can tell really quickly if I have an inventor coming to pitch to us or describe their technology or their business, I can tell if it's written in ChatGPT. There's no soul behind it. It's just, you can tell that it's manufactured. And I can especially tell if it's been hallucinating because it'll have very, very obvious errors in it.
Right. Errors no more.
Is that your tagline?
Sorry?
Is that your tagline for the business? Errors no more?
Thank you for that.
It should be.
Inspiring, yeah.
Okay, great. That's what I'm here for. So I would like to now kind of segue into a little bit more in-depth topics, and I think one of the things that is a barrier for women entering these deep tech science and engineering fields is just the idea of significant challenges working in hard science or very long hours, or just working with men maybe all day, every day, I don't know. But I would love to understand from each of you what a significant challenge that you faced in the industry recently and what you did to overcome that challenge. And I think that could just help inspire all of us to understand that this is a field that women are needed, and those challenges really shouldn't deter anyone from entering.
I can go first. So one of the biggest challenges that we found in photonics is our application. So we're wanting to use near-infrared spectrometry to test samples of food in a non-destructive way without using single-use chemicals, without having a science kit, basically, if I'm out at dinner, and that application hasn't really been applied before. So having any kind of foundational research has been a bit of a challenge, but I think part of that is because no one's had my personal experience and the vision for how I would like this technology to be used. And so having that brand new application, it's been a lot of very foundational research, very ground up. We're working on a lot of just, for like bread example, we're testing to see where those gluten levels are in bread as is, but that hasn't been done before. A lot of gluten tests have been done on unmilled wheat flour, which most people don't eat when they're at dinner. So it's a little difficult for us to kind of have that foundation to grow off of. So it's been a lot of ground up work, a lot of long hours, a lot of long chats, and a lot of help from my advisory board.
So my partner and I, over there, have been working together for 29 years. And more recently, it's the first time that we're able to put our technology in other people's hands. We've used it ourselves. We've designed drugs with it. We've done all kinds of really cool things with it, with earlier versions of it. Obviously not the LLM version of it. But the point is I think you have to, what was the question again?
What was a unique challenge that you faced recently?
Right, okay.
How'd you overcome it?
So, kind of a death march over the past 6 months to round everything up for this system, because the system is pretty broadly integrated with everything to provide optimal decisioning. So it's not a typical data science type of AI, it's a hardcore decisioning AI with real-time feeds, really a signal intelligence-based AI, so it takes information in real time, adapts, and optimizes with great intelligence greater than any of the LLMs. So all this happened after 29 years in the past 6 months. So now we're about to launch. So I guess the thing is, to it all, is to reach for the stars, you might get one, and stick with it no matter what kind of hell you're going through, and just make it work. And if any of your team members or anybody's getting, if there's ever stress going on, I find that, I don't know if it's a woman thing or whatever, but it's, and he can vouch for this, to just keep it cool you know, you got to keep your cool. Even if you're not really cool, you got to keep your cool. You got to appear cool. And it's kind of like dress for the job you want, not the job you got. And just be one with where you want to be.
I find it kind of funny what people tell me sometimes, and I remember the first time I got funded, the guy was talking about how I absolutely needed a co-founder immediately, and he's like, it can be really lonely having a business, and I was just thinking my whole career has prepared me for that, basically. Like, I just kind of wanted to laugh at him, because I've always felt a little lonely. Just in business sometimes, like at engineering firms, you know, the guys would have poker night and kind of just want it to be the guys. And so that was a little lonely for me at the time, but I think it prepared me well for the grit of a business. And then if you look at funding for females, it's like less than 1 or 3% of VC funding goes to female-owned businesses, which can be depressing at times. But as I've now been at this for 10 years, whenever I've had a lull in funding, I've like just taken it as the universe's way of saying spend a little more time with your family, or like maybe pursue some of your other things. And so I've kind of learned to roll with it and do what I can with what I have. And over the years, I've seen so many businesses go out of business, and women do have a really higher success rate in business, and they tend to have more revenue. So just know that some of those challenges can lead to slower growth, and maybe in Montana that creates longer term jobs versus something that just sells and then kind of is sometimes when a business sells, it's just so that that technology is no longer competing with another company's technology or something and dies out essentially after the sale. So there can definitely be some upsides to it as well.
My biggest challenges are more on a personal nature. I wanted to, you know, serve the laser industry, but I also was a single mom, and so I wanted to make all the football games. I wanted to make all those things, and so for the first 20 years or so, I worked 30 hours a week, and it was fine. You know, I grew, but I grew slowly. So that was one of the choices that I made, is that it was okay to grow slowly. And so now that my son is launched, I am choosing to try to hockey stick revenue. And so I have to go back into entrepreneurial mode, and I need to learn how to transition from being a founder to a CEO. The role is completely different. So I hired a business coach and learned how to hold people accountable, how to set up infrastructure for, you know, HR and things like that. And then I hired a CFO, and you know, so I'm adding all sorts of advisors so that I don't go through this blindly. You know, my first 20 years there were basically make a decision and trial and error. Was it a good decision? So you know, it's taking advice when the advice aligns with my vision, and then, you know, just changing.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned growing slowly, and in this super fast-paced, rapid expansion and explosion of growth and applications for photonics and quantum, I've even though I don't directly make a technology product, I serve in that business advisory space. I've seen that too, where if you're not actively out doing things, it's in a very aggressive mode. You tend to feel like you're falling behind a little bit. And one of the things that that was a challenge I've really started to face in the last couple of years. And our way of overcoming that is that marketing piece, I think, and that applies across the board to businesses. I think that, and women do really well in. You can be with your kids or sleeping or whatever, but if you have your product or your service or your brand out there on LinkedIn or TikTok, whatever it needs to be, it does it for you. So I think definitely learning how to leverage those skills that we already seem to naturally have, I think will really benefit in this industry. Okay, kind of moving on. Related to that, you know, what are some emerging trends in photonics or optics or quantum that really excite you the most right now?
I'm getting really excited about medical applications. We've got a lot of brainiacs out there. Our customers are figuring out new ways to use light to detect things. Like, we just got designed into a glaucoma surgery device so they can release the pressure just by essentially dotting your eye with certain very well-controlled holes. We got designed into a system that makes heart stent implants more effective. And so I really enjoy the medical applications where, you know, people can live significantly better lives because the technology is out there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to add a lot of value to healthcare, to anything where there's complexity involved, and everything is becoming more and more complex because of the data explosion. Quantum computing, the fact that we've come up with a way to prevent quantum errors, it's very exciting because we haven't gone full bore at it yet. But it will be very exciting for us to see our quantum error prevention add tremendous value to make quantum computing in general more scalable. Now, not what NVIDIA's CEO said in 15, 30 years, whatever. So we'll be looking for some partners to really prove that out. And we can prove it out now to a good, strong degree using NISQ quantum processors. So that's an exciting sort of cusp that we're on right now, and looking very forward to seeing how that plays out in all kinds of industries. One thing I wanted to cap off on before is when you touched on the value of growing slow. Because I obviously had 2 kids myself. I have, and raised them, and during this whole process of the 29-year realm, sorry I'm backtracking, but I wanted to state this, that they're all in on it too. Your whole family is in on it. When you're a female entrepreneur, it's a little different than the male side unless they, are a single father. But your whole family is in, your kids. So when you get to who your mentors are, I'm gonna start talking about my kids too.
I don't have a whole lot to say about it other than, of course, moving data through photonics and quantum is much more efficient and you can move it more quickly. But the way I think about photonics, really, I think of it more as a sensor, like our eyes are a sensor to the world. And the cool thing about photonics and quantum is you have the full electromagnetic spectrum to sense the world in a much more quick way and to be processed even potentially better than our brains can at the current moment. And so if you think about space exploration of bodily systems and surgical instrumentation, it's just kind of incredible, the potential. And it can be non-destructive, obviously, which is great, especially for cancer. Our technology can be used to detect cancer during surgery and to determine if the tissue is benign or malignant immediately. And that can make a big difference if it's critical material in your body that you don't want to remove a big chunk around to make sure you got it all. And you don't want to come back 2 weeks later after they removed the sample and looked at it and analyzed it.
Yeah, I would just piggyback on the health, and specifically with HealthGuard right now, we're working with gluten just because that is my background. But long term, we also hope to go into other allergen markets. So then we'll have one device that you can use for nuts, tree nuts, shellfish, eggs, gluten, to help reach more people and make their lives easier in their day-to-day. And so it's one less thing that they have to worry about, and they can focus on living their best lives instead of, can I eat this? Am I going to have, an allergic reaction? Am I going to the hospital today? That can be really stressful. So it's part about making that easier for just day-to-day life.
Yeah, definitely the whole concept of bringing more information directly back to you, I think, is what excites me most about photonics or quantum. And for those that are not familiar, what makes photonics so special in this space is moving light in a much more efficient manner, or light allows you to move much move data and store data much better than like electric or classical circuitry. So it takes big systems and it makes them much smaller. So you can then have them as like a point of care device or in spaces that were typically in big centralized labs. So more information right at your fingertips for sure. So playing off of that then, where do you see women contributing to these emerging applications or to the things that excite you guys the most?
I would say because AI is going to have such a huge impact in all industries, and there's that threat of taking jobs. The one thing that really is a constant is women's intuition, compassion, ability to see big pictures and be the glue to making things happen. And I think that human element is required. And I think women stepping up and being women in this age of AI is critical.
And with that, just communicating that to, potential partners, to consumers, and making, photonics and quantum, it sounds very intimidating, making it more manageable, more easy to understand, acceptable, and I feel like women really excel at that. Men are really great at communicating more the technical side, which we spoke on briefly before, but women are really good at getting at the heart of the problem and, like you said, humanizing.
One of the things I've experienced in meetings with clients, they'll kind of sort of know what outcome they want, but they don't know how to get there. And so one of the things I'm good at is my curiosity. I just keep asking questions until we actually get clarification of what they really want. And I have the patience and the curiosity to do that. I have to herd my engineering manager and production manager and whatnot because they think they've got the answer and I'm still asking questions. So that's something that is specific about me that, really, I think you used the word glue. It makes everything go together because some people don't think that they need to communicate more, and I've learned that, the more you know, the better. So yeah, the communication and the desire to collaborate. Yeah.
And I kind of want that in my workforce too, is really people that work well together and care more about meeting the need of the customer. And I think women just naturally tend to want that and want the outcome more than maybe being the smartest person in the room or whatever else can arise in those situations.
And that's a skill that doesn't just apply to being in a sales position or a marketing position or accounting or engineering. I mean, that just innate curiosity to understand your fellow man and to really get to the root of an issue or to empathize with the people around you, I think is a really key component of the skills and the capabilities that women are bringing to deep tech, for sure. So I know we definitely wanted to capture the mentorship question, so would love to understand from you guys what mentors you've had that helped shape your career and how they supported you, because like you said, Sarah, it can be kind of lonely being a business owner, but really being in this field. So if you want to give them a personal shout out, feel free, but yeah, would love to understand that from each of you.
I just, for my business, found a really great mentor, and over time I learned that his wife is very successful, and so they've always had a partnership at home where he was also very involved with the kids and running the household and viewing his wife as being professionally successful as well. And so I just found that useful in my mentors that I found to be most helpful. The other thing I've found with a lot of my male mentors or board advisors is that when something doesn't work, I kind of naturally am like, oh no, what did we do wrong? And they're like, oh, it's totally their loss. So like, they can also just view things much more positively and not take it as personally. And so sometimes you do need that critical thing, but they can also be the people that are like, no, that's not your fault at all. Like, that's just the way it went, and it's their loss, so let's find the next opportunity. So they can also be really encouraging. I also really look for sponsorship over mentorship, people that if I do have a lack of funding or something, they're like, here's this store, here's this company, maybe this person here can do that, or they have funding partners that they open doors to. So sponsorship is also critical, not just mentorship.
I, speaking a lot, my voice is going. I have been an independent contractor, which helped me to fund, gosh, beyond 30 years ago, I started doing work with Business Week and Fortune magazine, and made enough money to fund some quantum physics research that my husband did. And as an independent contractor, I was very driven in sales, very competitive, and in publishing and meeting deadlines, or it didn't go to press. This wasn't just the digital age back then. So timing and everything was really critical. When I met my husband, who's been my business partner, we're talking 24/7, he inspired me beyond belief. Just a real hard driver. He came from the DoD. And he started to use the system, the quantum AI, quantum GI, quantum general intelligence now, to look at subatomic systems. And he said, go get a drug design contract. Out of nowhere. Okay, so I did. And then on the way home, after getting the agreement from the customer to do this with us, I said, how are you going to do this? Because he didn't know chemistry. He said, I'll do it. I'll learn chemistry. It ended up being through a fire hose, but he did. And he designed drugs. And then we moved on to designing agrochemicals with DuPont. And I think mentors are... And then there's my kids, my God, they're the ones that challenge you to take the leap with both feet and just go in fully. Whereas, some mentors will, cater to you. I find that I learn more from mentors that, by example, and just, being able to believe in them. It makes me feel like I can be believed in as well, wholeheartedly. So, and that's a dynamic with my entire family. So they've been my mentors throughout. I've had others throughout my career, but wholeheartedly and all in, it's been them, every one of them, 3.
I did want to add one thing about the mom guilt is my son has always loved my company, and he even shows his peers the website. And anytime I'm like, maybe I should just go work for another, make a lot more money, a lot more quickly. He's like, no, you have to do it, Mom. It's so cool. And so when I'm feeling guilty, that and then, my daughter, even when she was 4, wrote, what does Mom do? She's I can't remember what she said, but she said something about being a mom. She didn't even mention that I worked, even though I do work. So it's you never know how your kid's going to take it, and maybe, I think in the long run, as they get older, too, it can be a really great thing, too.
It's funny, my kid is insisting on never running a business because he knows what kind of energy it takes to do that.
That's mine, too.
So I felt incredibly isolated. When I graduated, there were 4 women graduating with electrical engineering degrees. Out of a class of 100, and I think it's probably still that ratio.
I think so.
Yeah, so I just never made connections very easily. So a lot of the initial work was, again, trial and error. And then I started getting involved in the Montana Quantum and Photonics Alliance. I got on their board of directors, and I got to see what collaboration really could look like. And I got to connect with more people. And that, I think, was the beginning of opening up and being willing to hear things I didn't want to hear from advisors and actually starting to take that advice and actually act on it. So, you know, getting out there into the community, and I just let my self-doubt lead me. I'm a CEO and I have self-doubt, okay? This is real. And so I just let that keep me from getting into community. And that was, you know, now I realize I didn't need to do that. And being in community is huge.
Takes a village.
For me personally, just because HealthGuard Systems is my first entrepreneurial test drive, I guess. I don't have a lot of experience and knowledge. I don't know what will happen. It will be a lot of trial and error if it wasn't for my mentors. It's been huge for me to be able to ask them, hey, if I were to do A, B, and C, what would that happen? Okay, do I change B to D? Does that change my outcome? And it's been really helpful for me in making more intentional decisions and being able to execute those decisions a lot more efficiently. And that's just been huge. I don't think I'd be even on this stage without my mentors, and it's been game-changing to have that sense of community as well through them, and to be able to, you know, vent frustrations, confusion, get clarification. It's like having my own cheerleading team, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, I was going to say, also really look for the expertise, because I just went to a meetup and a guy was telling me he screwed up his cap table immediately with his first investment, and my one advisor has had 5 IPOs. So anytime I've had an offer of investment, he's looked at it and said, this is how it's going to affect your cap table, and it's, you know, like, so I found that mentorship. So it's important that you have the people that have the knowledge and the experience to really guide you as well as they can.
Just a quick show of hands, how many women here have a background in science or engineering or technology? So it's really bright, so I think I can only see a few of you anyway, but you know, it's pretty limited, which is normal for us, but as these businesses are growing, I mean, our workforce needs are substantial. So just love to understand from you guys, you know, how can women get involved in these industries where they're very much needed, even if they don't have a science or engineering background?
I think if they really understand themselves and what drives them, and they come at an industry, whether it's engineering or whatever, you know, more technical, if they come at it from a perspective of what's important to them, because technology is a tool, and if it's used to do things that you're passionate about, that's the angle I think women can come in at, rather than just a general technical educational experience. It's got to come from within. It can add value. I think women like to add, everybody likes to add value, make an impact. There's a nurturing level there, I think, in women that needs to be tapped.
And I think using our right, left brain, if you look at most huge technological advances, it's technology that was developed and someone developed it for some other reason. Someone completely right field came along, or left field came along and said, oh, this could be used for this. And so if you don't have the technology background, but you can look at it like she is, that's usually those technologies that really take off, because people deep in tech don't tend to see those avenues. So I think just get involved.
Yeah, just if you have a vision to pursue it. I know with my personal business, we're still on our proof of concept phase. So it's, you know, there's a high possibility it won't work. There's a possibility it will work. And if it doesn't, that's fine. We'll find another route to getting my end goal of having, you know, handheld portable gluten detector. And just understanding that it's okay to not know everything. It's okay to, you know, not be sure, but to trust the process, to trust your team, and to rely on the people around you. That was huge for me. When I was first going through the John Raffato Startup Challenge, I was still, in school. It was initially a class assignment that I had to submit. It wasn't something that I was, chomping at the bit for, but it's turned into that because of specifically the women around me that were really encouraging and reminding me that I can do it even if I don't have the technical background.
A lot of times tech can be really cool, but it doesn't solve any problems. So you need to build a business around a solution. And we, through our experience, can say, hey, this is a problem that needs to be solved, and then you can figure out what technology will be best. You don't want to go bottom up where, hey, I have this technology, let me go into these markets, because it might not be the best technology for that solution, and you'll waste a lot of time going there. So you have to make sure that you solve a problem.
Okay, I'll give one more example of a hackathon I went to. Some guys came up with this date night platform that created the perfect date night for you, and they're all like 20, not married, no kids. I'm married with kids, and I was like, well, I can ask my mom's group for their feedback on this, and they just were like kind of blowing it off. I'm like, there's like 5,000 people in there, and we're all like feel like close friends. He's like, what, 5,000 people? We can get feedback? I was like they just didn't even realize like the connections we form and the amount of knowledge that's there and the data you can get too.
All right, well, I know that we're standing in the way between you and lunch, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to come up to any one of us during lunch. Also, a great way to get involved is through the Montana Photonics and Quantum Alliance, like Mary stated. I'm actually their VP. I don't know why I didn't say that before, so Jason Yeager, don't get mad at me. I'm sorry, I forgot. But that is a great coalition of companies and business advisors in this space. So thank you guys so much.